What is going on, guys, and welcome to a new tutorial from Marcus, and today I'm gonna show you how to make buffering icons in HitFilm 3 Express. So just like the one in After Effects, I'm gonna show you how to make two different types of buffering icons. At first we have a very basic type of buffering icon, and we also have a YouTube SQ buffering icon. So let's get right into it. So we're gonna start off making a new composite shot. Let's just call this main basic, because this is the main composition of the basic buffering icon. This is gonna take 1 minute, 1920 by 1080. Very important is that you set the frame rate to the amount of little rectangles you want. So now that's that. You want to create a new layer, new plane. Just make this white, 1920 by 1080. It's perfectly fine. Next up, you're gonna want to select the rectangular mask and make sure you have the plane layer selected. Then you're gonna want to move your mouse to as close to the middle of the screen as you can get. And you're going to hold your mouse down and hold Alt as well to make this rectangular shape. And then you're going to want to make something like this. Then you're going to want to go into transform and move the Y position up till it just about doesn't touch the top of the composition. Next you're going to want to right click, make a new layer, a new point layer. Then you're going to want to open this one, go into transform and click the little circle next to rotation in order to keyframe it. Then you're going to want to move your cursor to the end of the composition, which should be 1 minute, and then you're going to set the rotation to 60 full rotations, so that way it does one full spin every second. Next up you're going to want to parent the plane to the point layer, so that way this is going to spin. Next up you're going to want to select both these layers, right click and select make composite shots. You're going to want to press OK. Make sure that this composition is 15 frames per second as well, which it is. Let's make sure this one is too. Yes, it is. Next up, you're going to apply the effect echo to it. I'm going to open this up. Now this echo time you're going to want to set to 1 divided by the frame rate. So in this case at 0.06666666. Goes on like that. So you're just going to want to, you can only do three decimals after the commas on HitFilm 3 Express. So we're just going to do that. Next up, we're going to set the number of echoes to the frame rate of your composition, which happens to be 15. Next up, you're going to decrease the decay until just you like it, really. I like to do it till you can just about see this last one here. And then you have a basic buffering icon. Next up, I'm going to show you guys how to do this YouTube SQ buffering icon. So you're going to create, again, a new composite shot. We're going to call this one circle. 1080p, 30 fps, completely fine. Next up, we're going to want to create a new plane. We're going to make this white, and we're going to want to select the ellipse mask tool. We're going to again move the mouse cursor to what seems about the center of the screen. Next up, we're going to want to select the ellipse mask tool. Make sure you have our new plane selected, and then we're going to move our mouse cursor to what seems about the center of the screen. We're going to hold our left mouse button, hold Alt and Shift as well, and just draw as big of a circle as we can. Next up, we're going to make a new composite shot, make this 1080p 30 fps again, and let's import the circle comp that we just made. Next up, we're going to scale this down, so open this up, going to transform, and scale this down to about 16%. Next up, we're going to want to move it up again until it just about doesn't touch the top of the composition. Next up, we're going to create a new layer and a new point. We're going to want to move the point below the circle composition, and then we're going to duplicate the circle layer. We're going to parent it to new point, and then we're going to transform and rotation. Now since we want 9 dots and 365 by 9 is 40 degrees, we're going to spin this 40 degrees. Then we're going to duplicate our circle comp again, unlink the circle layer that we just duplicated, and then we're going to move this by another 40 degrees, and then we're going to keep repeating this process, duplicate, unlink, and move up by 40 degrees. When you have a full circle, you can just delete the point layer. Next up, we're going to name this composition Alpha. Next up, we're going to make a new composite shot. We're going to call this moving a bit along. 920 by 1080, 30 fps. Next up, we're going to want to go into the Alpha composition, select the top layer, right click, copy, and then go into moving bit, right click and paste. Now we should just have a dot at the top. Next we're going to create a new point again. I'm going to want to move this down. I'm going to open this up, open transform and keyframe rotation. This comp is 10 seconds long, so I'm going to want to set it to 10 full rotation, so it rotates once every second. Then we're going to parent the circle layer to the new point, and then you will see that it starts to spin around. Next up, we're going to make another new composite shot. We're going to call this moving bit 2. We're also going to want to scale this circle layer up, so open it up, go to transform, and then also set the scale to a little bit higher, let's say 23 in this case. Next up, we're going to create a new composite shot, call it moving bit 2. Then we're going to want to copy this time the bottom layer, so right click copy and then paste it in here. As you can see, this is the left dot. Next up, we're going to create a new point, and then basically do the same thing. Open up a transform, keyframe rotation, 1 full rotation a second, so 10 full rotations, and then parent the circle layer to the new point. Next up, you're going to want to set the scale of the moving bit 2 circle to in between the scale of the dots in the alpha and in between the scale of moving bit 1, so that's between 23 and 16. So I'm just going to enter 20% here. Since there is no posterized time effect in HitFilm 3 Express, we're going to want to go into moving bit 1 and moving bit 2 and go to the settings and set the frame rates to 9 FPS, since we have 9 dots and it moves around once a second. Next up, we're going to make a new composite shot. We're going to call this main. 10 seconds, 920 by 1080 and 30 FPS. Next up, we're going to want to import moving bit 1 and moving bit 2. We also still need to make the background composition, so we're going to create new composite shot. We're going to make this 30 FPS, 920 by 1080. This is all perfectly fine. Let's call this background BG. Next, we're going to import the alpha composition. Next up, we're going to want to import moving bit 2, make sure it's the top layer. Then we're also going to want to add the effect fill color to moving bit 2. Open this up. We're going to want to set the color to black and the blend amount to 100%. Next up, we're going to want to go back into main and import the background composition we just made, and we're going to want to set the opacity of the background layer to about 20%. That way it's a lot grayer. We're also going to want to do the same with moving bit 2, but instead of 20%, we're going to set it to 50%. And that is it. You have now made a YouTube SQ buffering icon in HitFilm 3 Express. If you're using this tutorial for a project or have some views to express, or you have any tutorial suggestions, leave a comment for us. Like if you found it helpful, dislike if you didn't, and we will see you next week with a different tutorial.